First off, welcome, welcome.
Good morning.
So tell us a little bit about what's happening. What part of Canada are you in, and what's going on up there?
Okay, I'm in Alberta, which is part of Canada, the western part, Alberta, but near Edmonton. And it's winter here still, even though it says it's spring. They're liars here in Alberta. It's snowing. It was snowing yesterday on Easter, and it's cold, so not the best.
And you guys are still in full quarantine.
Yes, we are at home.
And how long does the Canadian government anticipate things right now?
Uh, I Not really any end date as of now. I don't think. I don't think anybody really knows, right? They like to give us a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, and
Yeah, us too.
happen. Yeah,
We're
right,
we're we're about headed for May 1st is when they said perhaps.
right.
We'll see.
That is
Okay.
that is the hope. Yeah.
So how's your year been so far? Our inaugural Mrs. Globe Curvey.
Oh, it's been awesome. Before we were stuck at home, I had a lot of amazing adventures with Mrs. Globe so far. I got to come with you to Greece to the Divine Conference, and that was my heart loves to travel, and Mrs. Globe has definitely given me that opportunity. I've been to China and Greece and Palm Springs, and
And we were to head to the Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, but that entire trip got canceled because of the virus. So you
yeah,
do get to travel as Mrs. Globe, as one of our world winners. I was sharing with the audience while we were trying to get you connected about how you approached me about the possibility of having a Mrs. Globe Curvey, and my first answer to you was, it's a great idea, but not now. And then I was sharing that as the universe has it, just the moon and the sun and the stars and the sky and prayers and hopes and dreams just all aligned. And the next thing you know, in a matter of weeks, we were able to pull together our first inaugural competition for Mrs. Globe Curvey, and you went and won it, the whole
I
thing.
did. Yes.
How does it feel being, I would guess to say, the inspiration child behind this and actually becoming the brand manager?
Uh, it feels amazing. I feel there's a lot of feelings actually. So when I met you, I was competing for Canada at the Mrs. Globe pageant in China
Yes.
when I approached you. And I was actually heavier than I was when I competed in the Mrs. Curvey title. And I didn't feel that there was anything lacking in me to compete in the Mrs. Globe Curvey title, to a Mrs. Globe title, right? But by giving the Mrs. Curvey title a platform, it made other people see me differently. I didn't see me differently. It created a platform for other people to see me differently. People that would have created, like, the measuring stick of beautiful changed. Does that make sense? It opened up other people's eyes to create a new level of beautiful for other people to see, where I don't feel like I changed, if that makes sense. So it didn't create, I feel like the Mrs. Globe Curvey title opened up a whole new level of excellence for other women to shine, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I want you to expand on what you just said about, because what I wanted to ask you was, what was one of the winning secrets, the winning global beauty secrets that you had going into this? But you just mentioned an amazing one, which is you went into it with a very clear sense of your emotional identity. And I just got through teaching on that in the wing classes this past week. So it sounds like you had a very, very clear emotional identity. This is who I am.
Mhm.
And for those of you who don't know what emotional identity is who do you show up to the table of life as? What do you represent? What are your values? What are your no-way zones? What are your accomplishments? Where's your grit? Where's your passions? And when you came to the stage, share more about that, about really being centered within yourself when you hit the stage of a beauty pageant for plus size women.
Right. So I don't feel like there was a lack in me when I walked on stage. I feel like it was a lack in the perspective of who they thought I should have been. There was, if that makes sense to everybody. Being curvy doesn't mean that I'm different. It just means that I'm enough in who I am. And so when I went, and so how I represented myself as Mrs. Curvey is that like, so when I was competing and going for the title, I showed up as who I was with the crown on my head already. So my vision was, this is who I am. This is what I'm bringing to the table. At the end of the day, this is a job interview, and this is who I'm going to show up as. So this is me as Mrs. Curvey, because I felt like I was already there. I was enough. I was showing up because I felt like I wanted the title. I was that title. And so I dressed the part, I put my best face forward, and I was Mrs. Curvey. So when I was on stage, I was already Mrs. Curvey. So because I didn't feel like I wasn't, because I feel like every woman is enough. So if you just own who you are and just bring who you are to the table, then there's no reason you can't win, right?
How do you feel about there being a market in pageantry for curvy? Do you think that there are enough women in the plus size that would want to jump into this and say, yes, I have the right to have my time, my space, my moment on stage?
Oh, I most definitely do, because technically, majority of the women that we consider in the pageant world plus size are average women every day walking around shopping at Walmart. They were just women, and they give the title in magazines or in celebrity as being plus size or full figured, but we're just average women who are beautiful.
And that's exactly why when we were coming up with the name, I'm like, I am not going to call it, Mrs. Plus Size, Mrs. Globe. I just can't bond with the whole plus size because exactly by what you just said. But Alicia, along that line, you have said something to me several times in our time together about how there is a difference between being obese and unhealthy versus being full figured and embracing that. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on that?
Right. Like, so in anything, everything in moderation, right? So you can be thin and you can be anorexic, you can be unhealthy, you can be heavy, and you can, there's a difference in healthy, and there's a difference in being unhealthy. So when you are being a role model, you always want to be healthy. You want to, it doesn't matter. I don't feel that any body isn't beautiful, but you want to be healthy, right? So
Right.
there is a difference between being obese and being full figured. There is a difference, right?
There is, but are you still classified as a curvy because you've lost a tremendous amount of weight? And what was the motivation behind that shift, or did it come naturally?
Well, so before I started the Miss Globe journey 2.5 years ago, before anything, I was already on a health and wellness life path, because I don't diet. It's not something I do. I feel like it's a whole process. It's a mind shift, right? Because it's here more than anything else, right? And I was just already on my way, and it just seems like the last little while I've lost a lot more weight, but it's more so I think I've toned up more and just kind of found my rhythm. And so technically I don't think I would qualify as curvy now, because when I was competed in China a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, I was about a size 12, 14 in Canada sizes. And then in Mrs. Curvey, I was a size 12, 10, 12, like more 12 coming down from a 14, and now I'm probably a size 10. So I wouldn't classify as a curvy, but I'm still average. I'm still a size large. Like, I'm still average.
Curvy, you're curvy.
Yeah, I'm still curvy. Yeah.
I want to open up the forum to take any questions now. Hello, Brooke. Let me see. Hello, Elena. We have lots of people who are logging on saying hello to you. I don't know if you can see the comments, Alicia.
But, I can, yeah.
One of the, you can't hear?
I can see them. Yeah, I can
okay,
hear
good. Okay. So one of the one of the questions that did swing by earlier that I saw is somebody had asked you, where has been your favorite place to travel as Mrs. Globe Curvey?
Oh, okay, so for me personally, my favorite was Greece. I loved Greece.
Me too.
It was, I loved the Divine Conference for many reasons. I liked the experience of the pageantry with the women empowerment. I liked the meshing of the two. I loved the experiences. If anybody has never been to Europe or Greece, it's a little bit more of an organic experience. It's very laid back. It's very, um, I don't know how, it's very just like relaxing, if that makes sense. So I really enjoyed just the experience. And like, I love trying new food and drinking the wine and like
I
being
love
part of.
that you're a foodie. I love that
I
you're a
love,
foodie. Okay, so we
love
have
food.
a couple of questions. Somebody has just asked, and they're swinging by so fast, it's hard for me to
Okay.
grab them. A question would be, what message would you have for young girls about being able to hold on to their sense of identity with all the pressure that there is to be thin and beautiful and forever young? I think that's a question that a lot of people uh, crumble under. So, what would be your advice to the teens, specifically dealing towards the younger market?
Well, it's hard because when you're younger, everything is such a big deal, right? And
You
it
think?
is. It's true. I have my daughter. My daughter's going to be 15 on Saturday, and I'm like, everything is a big deal. And when I was younger, you base everything on your friends and your relationships. And as you get older, you realize it doesn't matter because as you grow out of different relationships, and people and things don't matter as much as who you are matters.
Looks like
We
we had
learn
a
that
little
as we
bit
get older.
of
Pardon?
yeah, we had a little bit of a stall there on our end. Can you repeat
Oh,
that?
yeah. As we grow, we learn that who we are matters more than who our friends are matters, right? We grow and we learn that. So what I would empower on like younger women is be more to who you are, because the people that you feel are your closest and who you are relying your emotions on aren't going to be with you at the end of the day. You are your longest relationship. So love you more when you're younger because you're the person who's going to be with you the longest.
Yeah,
So,
I always say
sorry.
you are stuck with yourself for the rest of your life, so you
Yeah,
better
so be
you
kinder to
better
you.
learn to love yourself because the day you die, you're stuck with yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so true. And one thing along that line, as we're waiting for another question to come in, is one thing that I've realized is so many people get stuck in that sense of needing to be approved by other people. And I think one of the most freeing, one of the many freeing things that I experienced was the day when I realized that we don't need to care what people think. We absolutely don't need to care what people think, because at the end of the day, the if you show up in your authentic self, just like this is who I am, take me or leave me. There's like so much pressure that comes off of your shoulders, and those who take you, those who love you, and we don't have
Mhm.
to work for their approval. They don't carry a scorecard around with them saying that, if I love this and this about you and not this and this, and in order for me to love you, you need to check these certain boxes. But the people who love you just simply love you, and I really believe that love is supposed to be an effortless journey. So all these people who say you have to work at your love, if you're working at your love, you're doing it wrong. That's what my
Mhm.
mother always taught me.
Yeah, that's true. It should be organic. It should be more natural. You shouldn't have to work for it, for sure.
Exactly. So we're starting, we have just a few more minutes. We are starting our Reclaiming Me classes. And this is our journey to self-love. And Alicia might be running one of the Canada outreaches there as a WIN facilitator. You do a lot of work with women right now. And I know that just from what I've gotten to know about you, Alicia, you are such you are just such a staple of a woman. That's the only way that the one word that comes to my mind is you are just a solid person, solid in what you want for life, solid in who you are, um, solid in your reliability. I love the fact that you are so reliable, and I just love the fact that the inspiration of Mrs. Curvey was yours, and the fact that you captured the title and you became the first brand manager. I just see that, and I thank you for making that footprint for women this year and women all around the world for the years to come, to be able to celebrate a woman exactly as she is. So, as we close, what piece of self-love advice would you like to give to any of the women out there watching, and men?
And men, I would just say be kinder to yourself. I feel that we lose sight that we are going to be with us the longest, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we are enough who we are today. We look back and we're like, oh, I think of myself when I was 20 and I was like, oh, I'm so heavy, I'm so this. And I look back, I'm like, I want that cute little body back. But at the time, I wasn't enough. And so you don't appreciate what you have until it's not here anymore. So you just need to realize that you are enough today, and we always have room to improve, but today I am enough, and just be kinder to who you are today and love yourself a little bit more, and just affirm every morning that today is going to be fine. I am good enough today. It'll be what it'll be, right? And just be a little bit more loving to who you are.
I love it. Thank you so much. Well, for all of you who joined in, this is our beautiful Mrs. Globe Curvey. She's up in Canada, our inaugural Mrs. Globe Curvey, and we are out of time for today. Thank you all of you who joined us. This is Self-Love with the Duchess and the Doctor, and we will see you guys back next Monday. And if you want to find Alicia, why don't you give them your Instagram signal?
It's at Alicia Plowes, Alicia, Alicia, Plowes, P as in Peter, Losz.
Right. And we have a special Instagram just for the Mrs. Curvey, as well as you'll be able to catch up with her, as she is our world winner, our beautiful world winner for the Mrs. Globe Curvey. All right, guys, lots of love. Thank you so much for dialing in, and we'll see you next week. You're beautiful, Alicia. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.